Today's video, we're going to be talking all about Jupiter going retrograde on June 20th. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and hello if you're new. Make sure that you subscribe, that way you'll never miss out on another video. We're going to be talking about the Jupiter retrograde. And this is the first time on my channel I'm talking about Jupiter retrograde. For a lot of people, it can be scary when a planet goes in retrograde, but I'm here to tell you it doesn't have to be scary, because any retrograde, any planet that goes into retrograde, you can use it in your favor. And I kind of want to start teaching that on my channel as much as I can. The things I cannot share, the darker spells, the darker magic and all occultic stuff, you can find more on Patreon. But I do want to share as much as I can here on YouTube that I possibly can. June 20th is when Jupiter is going to go retrograde. And what does that mean? So here's the thing. Jupiter is the planet of growth and expansion and success and wealth. Jupiter is a very favoring planet. Now, it grows everything, it enhances everything, it accentuates everything. But when it goes in retrograde, it's all of that expansion, the growth, the wealth, all of that, it's going backwards. But here's the thing, it's not really going backwards in my opinion. I feel like you're going inwards. So there needs to be a lot of growth, expansion here and here. I do feel like a lot of you have leveled up in your life. You have, like, say a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. Think about that. Where were you in your life, and where are you in your life today, 2021? Jupiter retrograde shows, it kind of comes to teach you and show you and force you to reflect on where you were and where you are. Yeah, that's a big thing of when Jupiter does go retrograde. Now, Jupiter doesn't actually go backwards. It's kind of like an illusion that we see from here on Earth. So this whole period up until, so in Vedic, it's a different date, and in regular astrology, it is a different date. So, there's October 17th, October 18th is when Jupiter can go direct, or there's also September 14th, I think, when Jupiter can go direct. So it's like whatever, if you follow Vedic or whatever. But just pay attention to the time around those dates, whether you follow this or that. Just pay attention and you'll get to know your own, like how it affects you. Every single person's energy frequency alignment is different. That's why I like to say, like, it's not the same for everyone. Just pay attention to your energy around specific times and planetary alignments and stuff like that. This Jupiter retrograde up until September, October-ish, let's just say September, October-ish, right? It may make a lot of people uncomfortable. And the people that are going to get uncomfortable are those who ignore and suppress their feelings the most. Jupiter is expansion and growth, but when it's in retrograde, it's expansion and growth inwards, not outwards. Your finances, your stability, and all of that stuff, I really don't think any of that stuff is going to be affected, because a lot of you have, paved your own way, and a lot of you another opportunity will present itself to you. So don't worry about the money. Right now, it's, look, expansion, growth, but not in the materialistic form. Now, this might scare a lot of you, and I know I get messages, hundreds of messages of like, oh my God, Jupiter's going in retrograde, Mercury's going in retrograde, Saturn's going in retrograde, what do I do? What do I expect? Is there a spell I could do? Is there something I could do to make sure everything is okay. Like, I get those messages on a daily, and I feel like people freak out, you know, because of everything that's out there, all the information that's out there. But look, if you're on my channel, I want you to know it's not a time to freak out. Whether Saturn's in retrograde, Mercury's in retrograde, whether your life is in shits and shambles and upside down, there's no reason to freak out if you can take it all to your altar. And that's something I think we will eventually discuss more on my channel. But I do feel like, yeah, a lot of people get that desperate energy. I've been there, and I do want to open up to you guys about that. I've been in that desperate state, you know, where you're desperate and you'll do anything to save a relationship. You'll do anything to whatever it is, you know, the desperation mode. I've been there, and I think I've been on both sides of the extreme to talk about both. And so I think I want to get more in my channel about that. But right now, there's such a huge energy about your roots. Jupiter going in retrograde brings back karma. So if you in your heart feel like you did not pay your karma for something, it will come around and you will pay for it. So you need to make sure that in your heart, you've made peace with what you've done. You've made peace with your guilt. You have made peace with your regret. Okay? You have made peace with the ways in which you've hurt or yourself even. Because if you do not make peace with it around until September 14th to October 18th, let's say, then Jupiter will force you to make peace with it. And sometimes it could be in ways that you do not like. Sometimes we can prevent a lot of things that the universe wants to teach us if we can learn it faster. But it's not easy, and it's hard. It's hard accepting these things, breaking through egos, breaking through trauma and all of that stuff. So take your time. Do not let anybody force you or push you, but also know that you do need to move forward, make progress. So I do feel like there's a balance in that. You know, don't let someone push you, but also make progress. Another thing I want to talk about is, okay, so Jupiter going retrograde, Jupiter gets into the roots. It gets into the roots. Jupiter doesn't just, here's the thing, say there's oil and water. You shake it up, right? The oil will rise up to the surface of the water so you can scoop it out and you're done. Jupiter goes way deeper than that. Jupiter doesn't just have the shit come up to the surface. Jupiter will dig and dig and dig until the roots of the problem are fixed. And so that is the energy up until September 14th to October 18th, depending on if you practice Vedic or regular astrology. There's a few things I want to mention about this. Now, the first thing is, if you sever something at the roots, what happens? If you sever a tree from the roots, it's done, right? The roots, it's done. It's not going to get any nutrients. It's not going to thrive. It's not going to grow. The tree is dead. It's done. I feel like a lot of you needed to kind of hear that, is sometimes you need to sever something from the roots itself. Okay? Now this is going to be different for a whole lot of you. Sometimes the roots need to be nurtured and watered and taken care of. I do really feel like whatever it is you choose to do with these roots, you will be very heavily supported, but you just need to make a decision on what you need to do. Sever it, water it, nurture it, take care of it. Jupiter retrograde might be shaking some people up that have been running away from their roots, the roots of their problems, the roots of why they act certain ways and stuff like that. Jupiter retrograde is going to be shaking a lot of people up who may have been running from their own personal truth, may have been concealing who you are, maybe to please another. It's a lot of, I think, your own true self coming out. And if you guys are on my Patreon and even on my OnlyFans, I did a reading that goes into like your body and, you know, your yeah, this moon has a lot to do with our body, our self-care, and when it comes to sexuality too, our limits, our boundaries with our bodies. So if you're interested, that's all over on Patreon, and OnlyFans is all sexuality and sex and all of that stuff. Darker content over there too. Patreon is more deeper, a little bit more stuff that we can't really talk about here on YouTube. Jupiter is something that is, again, expansion and growth. And so when it goes in retrograde, it's gonna make you think, where are you limited? Why are you limited? And what limits are you no longer okay with? What limits are you okay to expand? Limits, boundaries, what are you okay with? What have you been pretending like you're okay with? What have you been conforming to please someone else? It's all gonna come into play, and Jupiter does not like restriction. Another thing I want to mention with the Jupiter retrograde is Jupiter is, again, planet of expansion and growth. Now, when it goes retrograde, it's trying to teach you of what is it that is not making you go forward. Jupiter will work with you for the next few months to show you what are you doing where you're not moving forward. So a lot of you guys have manifested things, lifestyles, partnerships, jobs, careers, relationships, habits, whatever it is. You've come out of one energy of your life and you have completely shifted into another energy. But a lot of you have had a really, really difficult time completely severing yourself from that past energy. Sometimes it happens. Jupiter comes to completely sever that bond so that you could take yourself completely, fully, 100% into your new energy and completely enjoy it and savor it and thrive in it without having this extra baggage from this side. You get what I'm saying? So those are a few things that I wanted to let you guys know about the Jupiter retrograde that we're having on June 20th. I hope you guys enjoy this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you real soon. Bye!